So, Tyler, a couple of years ago, I wrote an article calling Digital Realty Trust, ticker symbols DLR, a future dividend aristocrat, meaning that it went public in 2004 and has increased its dividend every year since. And for it to be included in that index, it would need to increase it for 25 years in a row. Now, Digital Realty increased its dividend in early 2022, if my memory serves correctly, but it hasn't increased the dividend in 6 quarters now. So, how worried should I be?
I mean,
And
what's going on
what's going
is
on at that
it.
company?
That's a great question. I feel like, Succession just ended. I feel like we've got our next HBO hit is just following around the executive team in the boardroom at Digital Realty as of late, because it's been a very intriguing sort of thing. So as far as the dividend, there's part of me that actually thinks that a lot of what's been going on in terms of, we've spoken about before, their debt levels, thinks that a lot of what's been going on in terms of, we've spoken about before, their debt levels have risen significantly. They've even mentioned in some recent disclosures that liquidity is a little bit tight. They've been looking to sell some assets, but the valuation for data centers is not quite what it was when they were making acquisitions a couple of years ago. So you add all those things together, and cash is looking a little thin. And well, if you need cash to pay your dividends, then that becomes a little bit of an issue. Whether or not it may take 2 more quarters to figure that out, but I think perhaps more importantly, for the long-term investment in this company, I think they need to get their governance and management house in order, because it's been a drama, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I got this exact timeline right, but late last year, their CEO was surprisingly fired. Then the former CFO became the replacement for the new, for the old CEO, and then a move that I didn't really think much of at the time. Two of their directors, their two longest serving directors who have been with the company since the IPO, decided they were stepping down. My first thought was, okay, they've been on the board of directors for nearly 20 years now. This is a retirement strategy. But we recently got a SEC filing from the company that included one of the departed board members' resignation letters, and it doesn't look like that was the case. It seems like they have some serious governance problems going on, or at least allegedly they have some serious governance problems going on. How much of a red flag is that as an investor?
It, it's been more and more for me a more important part of my investment thesis almost altogether. Not just board and management, but how they're compensated and what they're incented to do. I mean, Charlie Munger said it a long time ago, right? Like, show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcome. And Munger said it a long time ago, right? Like, show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcome. And Digital Realty doesn't really seem to have its house together. And then you read all these stories of like the backdoor or, backroom dealings to nominate board members, and getting, nominating a CEO with one or two board members and then bringing it to the board later. You hear things like that and you say, this is just not a properly functioning company. No matter how good like the bones of the business may be, it's like, own places that store data. That sounds great and easy because data's through the roof, right? But how hard can that be? But if you have management teams that are just kind of not quite together,
Yeah, I
this is
mean,
what you get.
one of the reasons that I love investing in real estate companies is that they shouldn't require a ton of expertise to run. Not expertise, but it should be a relatively straightforward business to run. You acquire properties, you lease them out. The end. It's one of the easiest businesses to understand for the most part. I don't know why all the drama all of a sudden in a company that has been up until about a year ago one of the best performing REITs in the entire market. If you look at its track record from its 2004 IPO to, say through the end of 2021, the returns were remarkably strong. Um, what happened? Did they just kind of expand too fast? Did they not account for? In my mind, a lot of it was they didn't account for interest rates rising and property valuations falling. They kind of assumed that money would be free forever. It kind of sounds like was the simple terms version of one of their big problems. I don't know. Should I sell my shares? What do you think?
I sold my shares a while ago, to be honest. But uh, you, there's just part of me that says there are other options out there in the data center world, and ones that seem to have more functional boards and more functional C-suites than Digital Realty does right now. They could get their act back together. That's perfectly acceptable, plausible outcome. But do you want to take your personal wealth and bet that
But to
somebody's
be
going to
fair,
get
there
their
are
crap
far
together?
fewer publicly traded data centers than there were in the past. And when you look at
That is
what some of
very
the other
true.
companies
Very
have done,
true.
like look at Sixtera, which was the number three data center operator. Like they're, I think, if they haven't
Ugh.
actually filed for bankruptcy yet, I know that's in the cards. So they're not the worst. Once again, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to click subscribe if you don't subscribe to my channel already. And as always, this video is sponsored by the Motley Fool. Be sure to visit www.fool.com/Frankel to receive the top 10 best stocks to buy now.